Hello and welcome to another episode of the Appelboom Bites podcast. Today is episode number 87 already. Wow, those are a lot of podcasts actually. We have a very special podcast here today. It's a few days before the Dutch Pen Show, so we will mainly talk about the Dutch Pen Show, of course, which is going to be a lot of fun. And I'm not going to do that all by myself. I have a beautiful co-host and an even more amazing guest. So first, let me introduce our co-host here for today. It is the one and only Clare Coco. Welcome on the show, Clare. How are you?
I'm doing great. Much getting better every day, So still, but getting better, and I'm just so happy to be on the show with you today, co-hosting. We have a great guest today, and I'm excited to learn more.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Very interesting guest. How is your hand doing?
It's getting a little bit better. It was a little achy over the weekend because sometimes I have to be careful not to overextend. That's why it's in this thing here, because I can't. And I was afraid that I might have done something, but it's okay. It's getting better. Few more weeks.
Is Peter taking good care of you?
He has been amazing. He's even last night he cooked dinner and everything. So.
Oh wow!
I know.
Great job, Peter. Great job. Be careful, Peter. Don't do too much, because otherwise she get used to it. So
yeah.
Perfect. All right, let me introduce our guest here for today, because it's the one and only Michal Kulka. Michael, welcome on the show. Welcome back. Michael, you're from Tamenuri Studio. I forgot to mention it. Welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having me again. It was some time from the previous visit, and from the quiz. I think we did the quiz some time ago.
Maybe you should bring that back. The pen show. The what was it again?
Pen quiz. Something like that.
Show.
It was cool.
That was pretty cool.
Yes.
I think we should have do-overs.
So great to be back, and as always, expecting a great conversation.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to have fun, and that's the most important thing. I would like to welcome everybody who's joining us in the chat. If you have any questions for any of us, for Michael, Claire, or me, please feel free to ask them, and we try to cover them. It's it's the fun part of the show that everybody can get involved. So if you have any questions, please ask them to us. All right, before we start the show, we always do a pen check. And Claire, I would like to ask you to start with your pen check.
The pen check.
Okay, well, since I've been practicing my left-hand writing, it's not a left-handed pen, but I have a maker's pen that I actually feel comfortable using with my left hand, and it's by Skogsy. And it's pretty neat. It's a low volume eyedropper pen, and I just kind of like this part of it with ebonite cap and
acrylics.
So yellow ebonite. And so I've been using this. It's on my desk, and I've actually been doing pretty well writing left-handed. So we'll see. Learning both. So
can you show us how it looks like your left-handed writing?
Sure. Here, actually my printing is a lot better, my handwriting, but the printing part here is what
Oh, it's decent for the right. I assume you are normally right with your right hand, so it's pretty decent.
Yeah, I know.
Claire, your left hand writing looks better than my right hand writing. So I don't know how you do that, but
Peter says the same thing. It's a lot of control. You have to slow down. That's, I guess, this thing to say.
You see, I'm not the only one. London Pen Company Sean is saying the same, better than my right-handed writing. So that's the little trick, like keeping it slow.
Slow. It's a little slow. So I'm going to do a pen review, and I'm going to do I'll do a left-handed write. So printing is better than cursive. even Peter's like very.
I'm thinking about this kind of a challenge, on Instagram to let people write first with their good hand and then with their bad hand, like underneath each other, and to spot the differences. Like, okay, how much of a difference is it to write?
Actually,
between
I
your
know a
two
person
hands?
who could win it because she could write with both hands at the same time, different things, both the same things, different things in mirror image, in the same direction with both hands at the same time.
She's disqualified already
Yeah.
because she's professional. We don't allow
I
professionals, right?
was shocked all the each time I saw her writing. It was like absolutely crazy. Yeah.
That's if people can write so beautiful, I always appreciate it. In the store we always see people try pens out, things like that. You immediately see if somebody already like pens and not, because that's a big what's the English word for that? Well, you can see it immediately.
Telltale.
If somebody like fountain pens, their handwriting is normal, beautiful. Yeah, exactly. All right,
a lot of people
Claire,
come
thank
to
you
the,
for sharing your pen check.
they said that a lot of people just come to the
No,
table
go
to
ahead.
buy-
There's a little delay.
okay, to the table to test the pen, and they just flourish. Like those
Yeah.
loops and flourishes, and they don't even show their handwriting, and it's the safe way.
Yeah, but that's also a way, right, to
Yeah.
express your feelings and express your emotions. So that's also a way to test a pen, I think.
Yep.
There's
Definitely.
something about
All right,
writing.
Michael, could you share your Michael, could you share your pen check for us?
Yes, I prepared a very humble pen I use almost every day for filling out the certificates, because when I'm shipping a pen to the customer, I fill out the certificate and I have to sign it and fill it with the name of the technique, date, and the number of the pen, because each of my pens is numbered. And this pen is a humble Pilot Custom Heritage 92 in blue. It's a demonstrator piston filler. This one is with a fine nib, and I use only one ink for this pen and for the certificates, and it's very mysterious ink because it's a prototype ink for KWZ. And this ink is probably the best waterproof document ink I have ever used. And it's the coolest thing is it's really like bright blue. It's almost turquoise, and it does not change color on the paper. So I like it very much. But the pen, probably a lot of people know. Simple, small, pretty decent capacity, beautiful nib. I love it. But it's my work pen. It is always on the desk, and in my studio, as you can see, I'm surrounded with Urushi stuff everywhere, and I use it. It's not my pen for like writing letters or something like this, but for technical stuff.
No, but I think it's a beautiful pen. It's one of the most affordable fountain pens, entry fountain pens with a gold nib. So we have a lot of customers grabbing this pen because they want to have a gold nib, and this is like the entry level for gold nib fountain pens.
Yes, I have another one.
Yes, it's a beautiful one.
In clear, and it was my second pen with gold nib ever. Yeah, I bought it like 10 years ago or something like this.
No, but we experienced that a lot of customers have that. But let's go back a little bit to the ink, because if it's the best ink, why is it so
well, best I've tested. I'm not a fan of waterproof inks, but I fell in love with it because it was drying super fast. It is really like absolutely bulletproof in terms of water fastness and waterproofness, but it does not stain hands. So it's you can very easy wash it off your hands. But on paper, it's like printed. It does not change anything, and it does not have a name. It's named like 496-10.
we should.
I urged Conrad to release it finally.
Ink.
Yes, but no, the Conrad who makes those things, he's a crazy chemist, and he's a perfectionist, and he's working on different iterations of this ink for quite some time, and we all urge him to release it eventually, someday, maybe, and to name it, maybe soon.
How long have you been using it?
Yeah,
since pen show in Katowice, because he was kind enough to give me a bottle for testing, and since Męczowy Katowice, so it's like 2 months or something like that.
I can't wait for it to come out because it sounds like
Yeah.
an awesome ink.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
People are asking for it. Is that 49610 coming to the market? I think the only
I don't know.
way,
You have to
the
ask
best way
Konrad.
to make this happen is send KW. How do I pronounce it? KWZ? KW.
In Polish,
KWZ?
it's KWZ in Polish, but it's KWZ, I think. Well, it's
So
it's
just
an
say
acronym. so-
KWZ.
Yeah,
Just
it's
send
an
them
acronym,
messages
so
on
you can-
Instagram.
Yeah,
Tell them like we
send
want
him.
to have that ink.
Like we want this ink. Yeah.
Well, we want the ink that Miguel says.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
He's a cool guy, so he might
thank you for
respond.
sharing your pen check. Definitely. No, they're wonderful people on KWZ.
Yeah.
Last year they were actually at the Dutch French Show. This year they couldn't make it, but they were very sad about it. But last year they were there, and it was amazing. All right, let's have a look at my pen check quickly before we start talking a little bit more about Dutch French Show. It came in the store, I think, last week. I don't know anymore because, well, a lot of things are happening now with the Dutch pen show going on in my head. But it is this pen, and it might look a little bit like the Lamy 2000 medal, but this one it's standing on, it's over here, I think. Maybe I can show it. It is the Leonardo Momento Zero Alumina. Does my camera pick it up?
Yes,
Here it
it's
goes.
good.
It looks
Here it is.
great.
It looks good.
There it is. It's a stainless steel pen with gold-plated trims, which I really like. I like the contrast of it. It has a gold nib on there as well, and it's a cartridge converter pen. And what I really like about this pen, because the model of the Momento Zero is, of course, a model that a lot of you most likely know, but the resin pens are always quite light. And we had some feedback from customers who didn't like the pen because it was too light. Well, this pen in stainless steel is much heavier, and people just seem to love it. So if you like the Momento Zero model, but the pen was too light for you, this might be your weapon of choice because, well, it's a little bit heavier, so it's nicer. Michael, did you also do a collaboration with Leonardo?
Yes. 3 editions already. They are all sold out.
Yeah.
But I will bring 2 pieces to my table to Utrecht. So these are the last not sold like artist-proof pens. Only 2 editions I have right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there will be 2 more, as far as I remember from the blanks I have. And it's fun. It's fun because I go crazy on those pens. I just don't want to do some simple stuff, just a little bit crazier. They are cool because they are piston fillers, and most
of course
my
not.
pens.
You're not here for the simple stuff.
My pens are cartridge converters, and it's cool to work on something else, and it's more parts and more aspects to look for, because you have to align not just the cup and the barrel, but also the knob and make sure it all fits together well. And it's great. It's cool. Something.
So you're going to be Urushiing them after?
I already have. I already did 3 editions. They are all. I sent them back to Salva, and they typically sell out in like 15 seconds or something like that. Yes,
sometimes 20. If you have a bad day, it's 20 seconds.
Yeah. Similarly to the Esterbrook limited editions I made for Esterbrook.
Yeah.
So, for Esterbrook I did 6 different versions altogether. And now we are talking about maybe something in the future. And with Salva, with Leonardo, it's an ongoing project still. But I had to make a break to prepare for Dutch Pen Show.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for my pens that he's
so
doing
So we have a world exclusive here. You're doing more with Esterbrook?
Maybe.
All right.
It's not.
Michael,
Nothing
you're
is
messing
confirmed.
up my
Nothing is
schedule
confirmed
to-
yet.
you're-
Yes. Nothing is
That's
confirmed,
good.
and it
You're
usually
messing, you're
takes
messing
a
up
long
my
time.
schedule because after the pen check,
Yeah.
we always do first the question from the previous guest. So first, let us do that. Okay. Then
Okay.
after
Let's
that, we're going to talk
let's do
about
it.
Tamenuri
Let's do it.
Studio and all that.
You asked the questions. I just
Because otherwise,
elaborately
you know,
answered.
I know. All right. The question from the previous guest, which was Michael Goodberley from Kaweco, was, what will be the next color trend for fountain pens and inks in 2026? And I think this question is really good for you.
No bloody idea. I generally gave up being any having any prophecies or futurologistic assumptions long time ago. As I'm getting older, I just realized that it makes no sense because it's very difficult to predict anything, especially anything in the future. But I can say what I will be doing. I will go probably
Yeah,
more
sure.
into purples and golds this year.
Purples and gold. So Claire, did you get the message? Is that the reason why you have your purple shirt on?
No, but it's one of my favorite colors.
Cool.
Yellows and purples. So yes, which is gold qualifies as towards more the yellow. So yes, I can't wait to see what you have. So will you have something new, hopefully for San Francisco when I meet you?
Oh, might be tricky. It's 3 months away. You'll see.
Okay. Very cool.
That's very close. All right. Claire, what do you think would be the trend color for 2026 in terms of pens and inks?
Oh, I don't really know. There's so many wonderful colors out there. I don't know if anything in the gold and yellow coming out, anything like that. The trends that I've seen, more of some of the blues lately, but I would like to see more variety, going that way. Yellow inks are very tough. So
Yes.
I would more like something that has some yellow, but it has to be a little darker because you can't read them. So I'm not saying that at all, but I sometimes I like to coordinate pen and ink, and I have to be very careful when I'm using a yellow pen for that able to read it. So the yellows are typically more on the or brownish undertones maybe, or something like that, but predominantly yellow, but it's readable. So maybe something like that can be made, because some of them are just are good for.
That would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, let's talk a little bit about Dutch Pen Show because it's already in a few days. We are fully in preparation of the Dutch Pen Show.
Yeah.
Almost all the tickets are sold out. We only have a few tickets left for the Sunday. So if you're now in the chat and you were planning to come to the Dutch Pen Show and you don't have a ticket yet, be quick because it will say, we will be sold out. That's something that I can tell you for sure. Today's show, the first time at the Dutch Pen Show. Michael, you've been to the Dutch Pen Show before. What do you think of it being 2 days?
Great idea. It should have been 2 days last year, but it's like good timing. Yes, I love it.
That's good.
It gives more time. It gives more time. There is especially for people like me with pretty limited offer, but rather expensive. So I don't have anything below like 300 euro on my table, and it typically is much more. It's not a easy decision, and a lot of people come, see, and look at our stuff and think, and they come back next day and they like pull the trigger. So it makes sense for me a lot, and it gives more time, because sometimes one day it was a little bit crowded last year. It was super busy. Maybe Definitely. It will like smooth out into 2 days, and I see from other pen makers and other vendors who are coming and who are regulars that it's a good idea. I convinced a few new people to come this year, including a guy from Poland who makes incredible pen holders and like dip pens, like a true artist, and he's a master of wood, and he's now learning Urushi with me, and I hope to meet him there. And the usual crowd from Poland, I mean, the Able Snail and Makar and other people. Super excited. That's a very good idea. 2 days. Yeah. I mean, 2 days.
I'm also really looking forward to like the Saturday evening, things like that, because that was something that you're missing on a one-day show. So now everybody will stay. Most people will stay in a hotel or in a hotel nearby, or at least they will stick around. So that Saturday evening, I'm really curious for that as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. What I also really like about you, Michael, is that you're also sharing all your knowledge and things like that. So what you just mentioned is that you're helping your friend learning a little bit about Urushi, things like that.
Yeah.
And that's what I really appreciate about your personality, about how you are. And maybe you could explain a little bit more, but not too. Okay, how do I ask this? So don't go too deep into detail, but explain.
You've just entered a minefield.
So wonderful what you're doing.
You've just entered a minefield. Because when I start talking about Urushi and the process, I can talk like for hours, and it's difficult.
That's why I ask you, because I need to go to the toilet. So then I drop this question to you. I can go to the toilet, and in 15 minutes I come back.
This was sneaky. Okay. So it's I assume that someone who listens to us does not know anything about Urushi. So Urushi is a lacquer from a few species of trees, lacquer trees, like Toxicodendron species, which grow mostly in Asia, in Japan, China, Indonesia, Vietnam, Korea, this area. These trees are somehow related to poison sumac and to some other species, and the juice which comes out of the resin which comes out of the broken branch or from cut bark contains a lot of urushiol. The urushiol is the substance which is the substance which is also in a poison ivy, and this is the substance which makes poison ivy dangerous. And poison ivy has like 2 to 5% of urushiol, and urushi from this special tree has like 60% of urushiol, so 20 times more than poison ivy. That's why it's not so popular among artists, because it's super dangerous to work with for some people. But properly processed, typically in Japan. So most of urushi in the world comes from China, like 99%. But the best processors of urushi are in Japan. So urushi comes from China, goes to Japan, then it's processed, and it becomes a lacquer, which is firstly very flexible in terms of usage. So you can do a lot of different stuff with it. After curing in high humidity, it becomes extremely durable, and it's waterproof. It's acid. It does not dissolve in acids, in base. I mean, in alkaline, in organic solvents, even temperature up to like 300 degrees does not deteriorate urushi. And typically you apply it in many layers. My pens are like anything from 20 to 120 layers of lacquer on them, but those layers are super thin, and sometimes colored, sometimes.
Is that
with
also
an-
the difference? Is it also the difference in because there are a couple of brands offering Urushi pens. Is that also the difference in price points? So, for example, Wancher has a lower price point Urushi pens than, let's say, Namiki.
Quality of lacquer work, mostly. And for someone who has no experience with Urushi pens, it will be difficult to tell apart good quality lacquer work, artist's level quality lacquer work, and just basic lacquer stuff, because they look alike on the first glance. Maybe one is more like glossy and so on, but it's difficult if you don't know Urushi. It's difficult if you have no experience with Urushi, it's difficult to distinguish. But once you put such pens one next to each other, you see it instantly, and it's sometimes very difficult to,
because Eric
explain.
Garcia is wondering, how can you develop your eye for that quality differentiation?
Experience. I know people who don't work with Urushi, but they collect Urushi pens, and after years of comparing, looking at them and using them, you start to see such differences like clearly, and you compared like two brands, and those brands are they are not extreme still. They are much more extreme brands in terms of quality on both ends. But yes, Wancher is like a basic level. Namiki is like a almost top level, or top level. It depends which series, because it's a huge difference between like a Namiki Urushi 50 or Namiki Emperor. It's the same size pen, but done by different people, and the quality of Makia or Chinkin, or even the base layer for Chinkin on Namiki Emperor is higher quality than just the Namiki 50. So even the simple black lacquer, like a Kuro Roiro, like a black Namiki 50, can be done in many different ways, and the quality will be visible. Even for not very experienced people, just by putting those pens one next to each other, one next to another, and just comparing them side by side, then you will see it. Obviously, it's still a pen.
You'll see the difference. Claire,
because I collect.
Claire, do you have Urushi pens in your collection?
I have quite a few. And early on, when I first started collecting versus now, I can tell the difference. We haven't, so some of the earlier pieces, which are still beautiful, those are going to be, previously loved. I'm going to be selling those to add. To get some of the better ones as well. But so I can tell the difference between, even when you have some of the pens that, say like the Mont Blanc 149s that have been Urushi'd, and a couple of the artists, you can tell the difference between when I bought it from somebody and then they got a better art, a newer artist that does it. And I'm like, there is definitely a difference.
Yeah. That is why I have something very important to say to people who will come to Dutch Pen Show and who already have my pens. It's very important because it will make me really happy, and you will have a surprise in return. Bring a pen you bought from me. I want to compare. I want to see my pens I made 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago with pens I'm making right now, and to see them again in use, especially used and abused pens. And it will be fun. We will take some pictures together, I hope, and I will pay back if you do this. So if you have my pens, bring them on.
It goes.
That's very interesting, and I can imagine.
It goes to show, though, because you're an artist. And, and over a period of time, you keep doing it and keep doing it. You just get better and better and better and better.
I hope.
Well, yeah, I know a friend of mine has a few of your pens, and he bought them when he saw you in San Francisco last year, and he wowed by them, and he's like, I said, I know, it's on my list. It's on my list. So it's on the list.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Michael, very important question. Nomi is asking, when will your first book coming out about Urushi lacquer?
I'm planning. The problem is, I started my story with fountain pens and Urushi with YouTube channel, and I made quite a lot of videos which are still referenced and watched by many people. I'm not doing anything with my YouTube channel, and it's still growing somehow. But I have very limited time, because when I have time to work with Urushi, I do Urushi, and I try to not to overwork myself, not to lose the passion, because it's usually the most dangerous thing for people like me and doing what I do, and to have to be still able to explain, to answer questions. And you said that you like that I answer questions, that I help other people start with Urushi, and I do this a lot. Typically, I have like 5 times a month, or even more, maybe 10 times a month, someone asks me questions because they want to start with something, or they come back with questions because they tested some of the ideas. And I do this, and I like answering those questions because I have a lot of passion for Urushi. I do not want to lose it. And writing a book or making spending another 10 hours a month on making videos will strain my time limit for Urushi, I think. I want to do some other stuff too, like ride a bike or take care of my garden and my family. So, but I will try, maybe not a book, but some kind of an online course, which will be like freely available in some way or another.
Yeah, I've heard a great suggestion from Gingery. Michael, please consider doing a podcast. The passion is evident in your voice.
Well, the passion is great in a podcast guest, not in a podcast host, because podcast host should be transparent, should be entertaining, but only to the limit which highlights the guests. And I am not good at being a host. I never was.
But maybe if you do a podcast together with somebody, like, you can discuss it. Like now I'm really the host. But
yes,
if you are just with the two of you, then you can just discuss
this would be cool. This would be cool to have a podcast with someone who knows pens but is interested in Urushi and is like a beginner level, like student mind. And
I find your host.
Yeah, cool. Great. Let's do it. Why not? Podcasts are easier to produce than videos, I think. So maybe why not? I can answer every question I know answer to, or just pretend I know the answer. Like in a really impressive way, I can pretend a lot of stuff.
I find doing this a lot easier sometimes. I find this a lot easier sometimes than just doing my own review on pens by myself.
Yeah, me too.
Because you can bounce back, and
it is.
It's this format is just so much easier.
For me, it's great. If you have someone who would use this platform to tape like 10 hours of me talking about Urushi and answering questions, let's do it. Why not?
And then you record it, and then it can be
easy as that.
Let's talk in Utrecht. No, in Utrecht you are like no. Let's don't talk in Utrecht.
I'm not sure if I will be alive in your tracks, but we will figure something out. No worries. All right. I need to go shortly to some new products.
New products.
To announce because we're already running through the time.
Bring it on.
Wait, let me make myself a little bit bigger. Here it is. It is not a new Urushi pen. It's something completely different. I'm not sure, Michael. Maybe you could do an Urushi on this. That would be cool.
I know
the
I
Lamy
know people who
Safari.
did this. I know a guy from Taiwan, I think. He applied Urushi on Lamy Safari, and he did a great job.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, these are the two new colors of the Lamy Safari. It is the Sunset and the Dark Dusk, two very special colors on here. We will bring them to the Dutch Print Show as well. So maybe after the weekend, they're all sold out. We didn't get a lot of them, so it might be. We also got a new inks in from Lamy. I forgot the names. It's the Petrol and I cannot remember it. I'm so sorry. But we have two new colors of inks of Lamy. All right. Talking about inks, I also need to tell something about the new Diamine Inkvent Calendar. This year will be the Teal Edition. It will be available from October. We already taking pre-orders. We ordered already a bunch of them with Diamine. And hopefully, we get them in time for sure, because Diamine is always very organized in their delivery. So we will have them in time, and you can get them in time for the Advent calendar. So yes, if you're interested in that and you don't have enough ink yet, make sure to pre-order them with us. The last new thing that I need to announce is a new brand on the Appelboom website. It's in the high-end series. The brand is called David Oscarson. Some of you might have seen or know him. Claire, I do know that you know him for sure because you have a pen of him. Could you tell us a little bit more about this brand, David Oscarson?
David Oscarson pens are just wonderful. I do have a few of them. And I also have a pair of his cufflinks. He makes cufflinks and he does knives, and they're just beautiful. They're enameled. They're on sterling silver, and the enamel process, when he goes to fire, they're different levels, and they're all, and for the colors, each color has to be fired
in different temperature,
and it gets layered. So I think the purple is the hardest one to do, so that gets put on first and fired, and then it is all these, and they're very intricate, and he always does pens with a theme. I have the Lord Ganesh, and it's just absolutely beautiful, and it has, the clip has a Ganesh on it, and and he does limited series of them, and I have a couple of other ones too, and the colors are they're heavy pen, and I do write with them. People like, you're actually inking the pen, and I'm like, that's what they're there for.
Yeah.
That's what they're there for, and they're beautiful.
That's what they're there for.
That's what they're there for. He's also Peter's correct. He also is a true gentleman. I had a question. Peter was able to find a pen, believe it or not, at an estate sale, and I guess they didn't realize what they had, and it had just a tiny little dent on the bottom of it, and I took a picture of it, and I said, can it be repaired? He said, absolutely, send it on its way. And but as soon as I texted him, two minutes later, he was on the phone calling me. And I thought that was, and it went out, and it came back looking really
That's top-notch surface. That's amazing.
Right.
I know. So he said, yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Very special.
And no, he's such a sweet.
We will have Davidson. We will have David Oscarson on the podcast as a guest in a couple of weeks. So we'll ask him anything. Michael, I'm so amazed that you also know about enabling and things like that. Like, wow, you literally know everything.
I have a problem. Because I'm a knowledge sponge. My greatest passion in life is learning, and it's the most important thing I do most of the time. I'm learning. I'm learning all the time. That's why I chose Urushi, because it's always something new to learn. I'm like 5 years in or more, and still 25 years to go to learn everything. But yes, enabling is difficult. It's both in terms of artistic expression and technical and technical part, because as you said, the enamels are fired in different temperatures, and you have to stage the colors in a proper sequence to while firing another color, not to destroy the previous one. Right, it's fun. I might try it once I will get bored with Urushi. Just after I will start a blacksmithing business and making katanas or something like this.
Step by step, Michael. Don't do everything all at once.
Yes.
It's always great to learn, no matter what age. I'm still trying to figure it
Absolutely. Exactly. Yeah.
Let's see. Ginger is saying Michael is curious and apparently started Urushi when 10 years old. Okay.
No, I just learned pretty fast. My wife jokes that whatever I take on, I'm already intermediate. Whatever I start, whatever I get interested in, I'm already intermediate. So because I learn pretty fast, and usually it's a deep dive. So I was not starting with Urushi like a hobby 1 hour a week. I went all in 10 hours a day, all the time. So yeah, it's crazy, and it might be difficult for my family and friends and people around me, and it is, I know, but well, it's me.
If it's your passion, it's your passion. That's a good thing, right? All right, Claire, do you have a question for Michael?
Yes. What is your favorite Urushi color to work with and technique?
Technique. It changes. It changes all the time, because it's easier to answer what's my favorite recent technique or recent color or recent material I work with, because it changes all the time, and I come back to some techniques, and I can answer it pretty easily, because right now I'm working a lot on rankaku. And I have some examples, and I will show you them only for a few seconds, because I am bringing them to Utrecht, and they will be premiered in Utrecht. So these are all rankaku, and some of them are rankaku with raden. And rankaku is raden is embedding a mother of pearl or abalone pieces in Urushi. And rankaku is the same, but with eggshell, and on larger surfaces. And it's used the chicken egg. And on pans they have small diameter, and the curvature of the pen is quite large, intense. And I have to use quail eggshells, and they are very thin, very fragile. But once embedded in Urushi, they are very strong. They can be polished, and it's the only way, and it's the only traditional way to create white color in Urushi, because Urushi is never white. Even if you add a lot of white pigment to it, it will always go off-white or slightly yellow or slightly brown or something like that. It will never be pure white. And to have it in pure white, you can use eggshell and polish it. And this one is with shades of blue. And I showed this pen especially for Katya, who is probably watching or will be watching it. It's the one you are interested in. You know who I'm talking.
It's beautiful. It's actually beautiful. Would you ever do like chinkin, or is that
Chinkin is super interesting, but I work with chinkin, but not on pens I sell, because chinkin is a technique which requires incredible precision and experience, and I need a few years more working with chinkin before I will sell my pens with chinkin. Because I'm not an artist. I wasn't an artist. I became a craftsman, and then maybe some people call me artist. But you need to to have practice with some tools. And I have a lot of practice with brushes and other stuff, but chiseling, I never engraved anything. I need to learn it from the scratch. And it's not just learning the technique. Someone explains it to you and you do it. You have to learn your muscles and your eye and everything, how to do it properly. And I did some experiments and I practice a lot, but it's not the level I would like to show and sell. I would not be happy with it. People are still in awe, but it's not my level of confidence to sell it and to offer it on my pants.
Well, your work is beautiful,
You.
what you're doing now. So I've been eyeing your website.
I learn a lot of new techniques all the time, and I like to experiment with matching traditional techniques with traditional Eastern techniques with Western aesthetics. So that's why I'm coming up with ideas like Impressionism, like mixing different colors of Urushi directly on the pen. So like in Impressionist paintings, and with so I take some techniques and some expressions from oil paintings and try to apply them on Urushi and with Urushi. But at the same time, I stick to very traditional approach to Urushi. So I use only pure lacquer, no synthetic additives, no shortcuts. Like the Urushi technique is purely traditional, but application of it might be not.
Fair.
That's what I like. You know, that mix of the Eastern and Western culture. It's very impressive. Michael,
The same is happening in Japan right now.
For pen shows for the year.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Once again, sorry, I couldn't hear.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a delay. You're saying that it's happening in Japan as well right now?
Yeah. I mean the like trying to incorporation of Western aesthetics into Urushi. Yeah, it's happening the same there, but it happened in Europe too. Like for example, the huge trend in many different artistic techniques and societies with fascination with Japan. And it started probably with Marie Antoinette in like buying a lot of Urushi stuff from Japan. She was buying a lot because she had means to buy a lot of stuff, and she bought a lot of stuff from Japan. And one of the biggest collection of Urushi items from like small in-raw pieces to furniture is in France. And it came back many times. Actually, those two cultures like intertwined in a funny way. For example, for some techniques, I will try to show one of them. This is the example of Karanuri. It's pretty dark here. I don't know if it's visible. Anyway, it's Karanuri. Karanuri is one of the technique which is usually called, both in Japan and in Europe and States, it's called Tsugaru Nuri. It's a group of technique from the Tsugaru city. But the name Tsugaru Nuri was not used in Japan. The prefecture, and they usually call by the name of prefecture, is Aomori. And each of the techniques had its name. It's Karanuri, it's Monshanuri, it's Nanakonuri. But the term Tsugaru Nuri was developed in Europe because the lacquer artists and lacquer artist items from Tsugaru, from Aomori prefecture and city of Tsugaru, were shown in Paris or in Vienna, I'm not sure, during the World Exhibition. It was end of the 19th century or beginning of the 20th century. I don't remember which one, but it was shown in Europe. And it was shown as the lacquer art from Tsugaru. And in Japanese, it was Tsugaru Nuri. So it came back to Japan, and they started using the name Tsugaru Nuri for the group of techniques from Aomori prefecture. So it's like a reintroduction of the same.
That's funny.
Yeah. So it's already crazy in terms of the nomenclature, the lacquer and the lacquer techniques, but it adds to the complication. But it's also a funny story.
That's funny. That's interesting. All right, Michael, I wanted to ask you if besides the Dutch pen show, you will go to other pen shows in the world later this year?
This year, I have table booked in San Francisco again, and I hope I will be there. I will decide just after the Dutch pen show. So I need to just buy a ticket because I have booked a hotel and I have a table. And it's 3 months away, so I will be able to prepare something new. Maybe something else in the autumn. I'm invited to, as usual, to London, as usual to Madrid. I will see. I have never been to London Pen Show. I was planning, but they did the Brexit, something like this. So I'm not sure if I go there, but I'm still invited by my customers. Yeah, like I'm considering San Francisco the most. What else? Not sure yet. I was in Barcelona this year and in Katowice. And Dutch Pen Show is, of course, my main event every year. So it was my first pen show and my favorite pen show. Sorry, San Francisco, but it's still my favorite pen show.
Thank you. No, it will be fun again this year. We're almost here at the end of the show. Just for people that were watching this in the hope to see the new Leonardo Dutch Pen Show Special Edition live, I don't have the pens here. So they are with my media team. They're making photos, crazy videos, things like that.
You showed the blacked out version of them, I think. Like just the silhouette.
Blacked out?
You showed the silhouette.
Yes, and yesterday and today we also showed some videos, etc. on Instagram. So they're out there, and there will be another pen. And that one will be revealed, I think, tomorrow. I'm not sure, but it will be revealed tomorrow. But they still have to dig it up, so I'm not sure if it will be in time. But that will be revealed.
I did like your latest video on Instagram. That was pretty funny. Or the new
thank you. It was really difficult to find it. I had to row the boat all the way over the North Sea, things like that, searching for it. But
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, it's funny.
You have to look it. You have to look it up. All right, Michael, do you have a question for our next guest who will be here next week after the Dutch Pen Show?
Oh. And I don't know who that is, so it must be pretty universal.
Yes, it will be. Honestly, the guest is not confirmed yet, but the person will most likely be at the Dutch Pen Show this weekend.
Okay, so I might go two ways. Why the Dutch Pen Show is the best pen show in the world? no, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. It is. It obviously is. It does not need to explain it. But maybe which is your favorite material for the pen and why it's Urushi? no, but which is your favorite material and why? But really why? And no marketing bullshit. Like, which is your favorite material for the pen you are using?
I will add that, okay? And no marketing bullshit. I will write it down.
Yes, because for example, around Urushi and celluloid, there's a lot of BS. A lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I read, the problem started with one American vendor who was importing certain Japanese brand. And the Japanese people writing materials for this American vendor, they sat and they need it in English. They asked some specialists, no, if you want to sell it in the West, you have to exaggerate a little bit. So how long do you make this pen? No, it's like 5 weeks. Let's write 3 months. Okay, they sent the materials to the American vendor. You can start imagining who it was. They got the materials 3 months. Let's pump it up. You're Americans. Let's pump it up a little bit. Let's say 6 months. And they published a Tamenuri pen with the information that it takes 6 months to make. if I was blind and working with only my left hand, I would make a Tamenuri pen in like 2 months, not 6. So it's.
But you're the best.
That's why.
Michael,
why.
you're the best. You're the best. That's why.
I'm very far from.
Let's say I will make that pen. It will take me 2 years.
No. You would make it faster, or you wouldn't make it at all. So, but if someone does this, and Tamenuri is very difficult technique, but once you can do it, and once you know how to do it, you start with raw ebonite, and you can finish in 5 weeks. If you really know, and you have the tools, and the place, and the furrow, and the dust-proof room, which is the best thing to have for working with Tamenuri, you can do it in 5 weeks. So like pumping up the levels of marketing BS on every step of translation, sending from east to west, then selling it further, and it's the same is done by several other brands, and it's not good because yeah, it's I say it's like a precious resin squared.
But Michael, I clearly see that you haven't seen the reveal video of the Dutch pen show Leonardo yet, because that's completely what we're doing there right now. Because it looks like I was there in a little boat searching for the pen, but honestly
it's
speaking,
fun. It's fun. You're not lying.
It
You're
just
not
lying.
By
plane, people.
You are having fun. You are having fun, but calling calling injection molded plastic precious resin, or calling pen, which is like a basic Urushi technique that it took 6 months, and it was made by a blind monk in the mountains of whatever Honshu or Kyushu. It's just straight lying. It's not fair. Yeah,
that's true. I agree on that. All right,
guys, I say
really have to...
making those pens takes months, really. And some of pens I have here took 6 months to make, but most of this time was waiting. They were just curing. If I take just net time I spent on each pen, it was mostly sanding, not lacquering. So we are sanding and waiting artists, not lacquering artists.
Oh, that's you should add that to your business card.
Yes, the most important trait of Urushi craftsman is patience, because you wait. You wait a lot. You wait for everything. You wait. If you wait for weeks and you are not sure, you have to wait for another 2 to be sure that it's cured, and so on. So waiting, being patient, and then sanding is the most important skill. Lacquering is easy.
That's really important. All right, guys, we really have to end the show now, because Ginger is already saying it. Joe's wrapping up on time because
it was great. It was fun.
Get into the toilet. So definitely have to do that. Ginger is also saying, Claire, wishing you continued healing, feel better soon. And
thank you.
Ginger also had a few questions for you, Michael, but we didn't have the time to cover that. Yeah.
The one question I did like, because we talked about it before the show, was what music you listen to.
What music am I listening to?
We can do that quickly, Michael. We can do that quickly. The question is for you, Michael. Do you listen to music?
Yes, I do listen to music, and it's mostly jazz or some like border of jazz and crossings of jazz with something else. But it's mostly jazz.
Yeah.
Will you? This is an interesting. I have another interesting question for you. Will your Urushi pens look different if you're listening to a different kind of music?
Probably yes. Maybe. I don't know.
We should try it out.
That's why I like jazz, not because of the music, not only because of the music. The music is great, but the philosophy of jazz is that there is no such thing as false note, because it all depends what you play just after this note, which seems to be false, to be wrong. It depends what you play just after it, and it defines this false note as something completely different.
Is it the same with Urushi?
Yes, absolutely. If you make a mistake, I know a lot of artists, and I know a lot of companies which know how to like recycle the mistakes. some
they cover
maquillage
it up.
pens, but like when you work on Iro, so like a solid color or black, for example, pen, and you make a mistake and there is a blemish there, it's a perfect canvas for maquillage. And I will never believe they will start over again and again. They will just use it for maquillage because it's a canvas. So it's like an artist in oil painting. You draw something on the canvas and then you start painting, and then you can overpaint it. I make a lot of mistakes because I make a lot of mistakes. We should do the show with me showing pens which are like fuck ups or just broken or whatever, just something wrong with them.
That would be nice.
Sometimes I redo them.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that will fit in the hour that we have for the podcast.
I usually use them for experiments, or I redo them. So, for example, people are watching my numbering system, and it's like 4B something. It makes sense, but sometimes something odd appears. Like I had like a 3, starting with 3, then starting with 4, and suddenly I publish a pen which starts with 2. Which the series I ended like 3 years ago because I had a pen which was with some mistake, and I was waiting for an idea how to redo it. Sometimes I send it back to raw ebonite and start again.
It was for a different destination.
Yeah.
It was not a mistake. It had a different destination. All right, guys, we really have to end the show now. We're really over time. Michael, thank you so much for being the guest here. It was wonderful to talk with you again.
It was great.
I will see you in a couple of days.
Yes, on Friday.
We're just going to have some fun at the Dutch Pen Show. Claire, thank you. It was wonderful to have you again as the co-host. I'm so sorry that you have to miss out on the Dutch Pen Show, but I will make sure that we shoot some content, things like that.
I know.
And
you have no
but
idea.
maybe you will meet in San Francisco.
Yep, I'll see Joost at DC, so that would be good too. So, but thank you.
Your year will be fun.
Yeah, it was a great show. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Truly appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to the YouTube channel of Claire, and also to the Tamenuri Studio YouTube channel that he's not using at all, but still.
But it's still worth seeing the content.
Yeah, there are.
Maybe you will convince me to come back.
Yes, you should do that. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you again so much. Next week we will be back. We will do a recap of the Dutch Pen Show, so that will be fun. If I'm not dead, because I'm not sure how we'll survive the Dutch Pen Show. Anyway, thank you so much, and we talk soon. Bye-bye.
Ciao.